All right, snow and some mixed precipitation. It's been spotted down West Texas, the Texas Panhandle. This major winter storm will bring in a mix of snow and rain and everything in between. That's a problem. Residents obviously taking this seriously. Down in Texas, folks think back to the disastrous results, terrible results of the 2021 winter storm. Millions lost power. There was loss of life. There have been a lot of changes. Power companies are confident in their infrastructure improvements. So here to discuss them is Matt Boms, the executive director of the Texas Advanced Energy Business Alliance. Matt, thank you for being here with us on Fox Weather. We know every time it's gotten cold in Texas, folks roll their eyes a little bit if you bring this up. Part of that reaction, though, thankfully, is because much has changed over the last 5 years. What major improvements are we talking about?
That's right, Ian. Thanks for having me. A lot has changed since Winter Storm Uri. It's hard to believe that almost 5 years have passed now. And since then, Texas has become a national leader in solar power, in battery storage, as well as wind energy. And those are huge contributions to our grid. The other key piece here is that Texas has undergone a series of winterization and weatherization efforts, and that has really helped bolster the natural gas infrastructure that we have here in Texas. So those two combined really lead to a grid that's much more resilient and much more reliable than it was back in 2021.
And some of that was legislature, right? That forced that along. What kind of improvements or bolstering was there? You talked about the weatherization. I know in some of these scenarios, we're talking about 3/4 of an inch of ice, and it becomes nearly impossible unless you've got lines buried. But what's been done to make these systems a little bit more resilient?
That's right, Ian. Yeah, the state legislature and Governor Abbott took really commendable efforts following Winter Storm Uri, and inspections are now mandatory. They weren't back in 2021. That's a huge change. The weatherization efforts that we've seen have been substantial, and that's all led to a much safer, a much more robust and resilient critical energy infrastructure. The other piece here, Ian, that I want to highlight is that batteries are by far the biggest addition to our grid over the past 5 years. We have about 17,000 megawatts of battery storage in Texas today. That was virtually zero back in
Wow.
during Winter Storm Uri. So that's a huge addition to the Texas grid that we simply didn't have 5 years ago.
Yeah, Matt, that's a big deal right there, and we know that tech has come a long way over the last half decade. Which brings us to today. We're staring at the beginning of this storm. How are folks feeling in Texas about this? What are people saying in the lead up to this storm?
I would say cautiously optimistic. Certainly, as you mentioned, icy conditions can lead to some local infrastructure issues that could mean ice on wires. It could mean some fallen poles. That is something to be expected during this type of winter event, but nothing even close to what we saw back in 2021. So overall, the grid is looking very robust, and I think that's reflected in the statements we've heard so far from Governor Abbott, from the Public Utility Commission, and from ERCOT as well.
I'm curious, you're talking about some of the efforts at the state level. Is there any research or data showing privately? I know this event caused so much suffering, and some folks may have made an investment to have some options at the home level.
Absolutely. A lot of Texans have gone out and purchased their own backup power. So, depending on the customer, that could be a residential battery, it could be a generator in their backyard, it could be rooftop solar, a whole range of different technologies that are available today and becoming more affordable. That's going to be a huge piece of the equation moving forward. We have energy demand in Texas that is unprecedented. A lot of data centers coming to do business here. It's a pro business state, and we're going to need every megawatt we can get.
Absolutely. I think it'll be something like at least 10 states that have their infrastructure tested by this one. So, wishing folks there in Texas and, of course, everybody impacted by the storm the best as we move through it. That's Matt Boms, the executive director with the Texas Advanced Energy Business Alliance. Thanks for the information here on Fox Weather.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.